It's me, Mario. Episode 196 of podcast Room 303 is now officially started. We'll be getting into the NBA and NHL postseason. We'll have a quick PCP about childhood crushes. And there will be some weird choices because Nick is a host of this podcast. How are you doing this evening, Nick? Oh, he froze right when I asked that question. So, how are you doing this evening, Nick?
Oh, my microphone was on mute. I'm ready to enthrall everybody with all my male crushes that I grew up with.
Shout out Tom Cruise.
With the first answer being Jermaine.
God, or whenever you're mad at me, God, King, Emperor. Ooh, that's the greatest sound in the world. All right, so how are you doing this evening, Eric?
Doing good, man. Philadelphia getting a win without JoJo. Can't complain.
Oh, you're gonna have your opportunity to talk that shit here in a second, sir. That is a big time win for those of you living under a rock. Jesus Christ, Patrick Star is a cartoon character. Get your life together. So today's pop culture pick'em, as alluded to, is top 5 childhood crushes. Eric, if you will share the screen, sir. Today's order will be myself, Eric, and then Nick. And we're actually just going to hop right into this. I'm going to go ahead and say that Jennifer Love Hewitt. It's number one. Jennifer Love Hewitt will always have a special place in my heart. Shout out brunettes with absolute milk melons.
So now that my number one pick is off the board, I'm going to go with another Jennifer. She had a great run in the 90s, early 2000s. I'm going to go with Jennifer Aniston.
You said that like she ain't acting no more.
Dude, you see me? I'm choking on my. I'm like, Eric, she's acting now.
Nah, she's dead to me.
My first pick, I will go with her showmate, her castmate on Friends.
Oh, Lisa Kudrow?
I'm going to go Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox. I'll follow it up with, just because I think some people are going to take this, Angelina Jolie. 90s and early 2000s Angelina Jolie.
I mean, she wasn't ugly, but that wasn't one of my girls, bro.
Yeah,
so.
She's far down the list. Like, go to the bottom of the list and then keep going, and then maybe she's there. My second pick, I'm gonna go with a young curly-haired South African queen, Charlize Theron.
Oh, yo, she was the hotness for. Didn't she win like what was it, Maxim Hottest Woman of the Year or whatever that bullshit was?
I don't know. I just remember watching her in that movie with Keanu Reeves with Al Pacino when she had the baby curls.
Oh, you're talking about Devil's Advocate, one of my all-time favorite movies, bro.
Yeah, dude, she was so fine in that, dude.
I was not old enough to watch that movie. That movie fucked me up, bro.
I was hooked. I was hooked from day one, bro.
We'll get into that discussion on a later episode, but my God, that movie fucked me up, dude. Jesus Christ. All right, I'm going to submit my number 2 pick, another brunette with absolute milk melons, Neve Campbell. Oof. Star of the Scream, I guess it's whatever you want to call it now, franchise. It's NEVE, by the way. And then I'm going to follow that up with Marissa Tomei.
Oh,
Good pick.
RIP, the heartbreak I felt in the new Spider-Man movies. I don't have to say spoilers. That shit fucking was 5 months ago. Go see a movie if you don't want me to spoil it then. When she died, I was super sad because I was like, we don't get to see that just absolutely gorgeous woman gracing our movie screens anymore. Peter Parker's worse off for it, if you ask me.
The whole world's worse off. The whole world.
I agree.
Aunt May, Marissa Tomei. The whole world is worse off. Anyway, now that 2 of the girls that would have been on my list are gone, I'm going to pivot and go with character name Kelly Kapowski, real name Tiffany
Haddish?
No, fuck
Tiffany Haddish. Yeah, for sure. Write it down, Eric.
Absolutely not. It'll come back to me, but it's Tiffany.
Wanda Sykes, then.
Nah, son.
You said Kapowski? What show
Kelly
is that
Kapowski from Saved by the Bell, bro.
If you can't name them, you can't claim them.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, Tiffany Thiessen. There we go.
Because you Googled it.
Google.
Hey.
Google doesn't count. Put an asterisk by it, like Barry Bonds Hall of Fame record or Barry Bonds home run record.
Is that the brunette or is that?
That is a brunette with milk melons, bro.
I know. I was just trying to figure out
in the
which girl
show.
it was.
Yes. Yeah,
Jesus
she's the one that's dating Zach in the show.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. I was not a big Saved by the Bell guy. When it came on, I enjoyed it, but I never watched it.
Wrong.
So. Let's see if I can snag a couple more off Eric's list. I'm gonna go Selma Hayek.
Oh, she's top 10.
And I'm going Carmen Electra.
Ooh, close.
Bro, Dennis Rodman would love your list, Nick.
I do have a
love my list.
I do have a Playboy bunny coming up next with my fourth pick. Man, I don't know if I should go with her. I'm gonna do it.
And then you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't go.
Anna Nicole Smith, bro. I know she ended up being cuckoo in the head, but
no, dude.
God, I love that girl when I was young.
Anna Nicole Smith is that the girl who killed Kurt Cobain?
Yeah.
No, that's Courtney Love, numbnuts. I would never pick Courtney Love. That cheap devil.
Oh, I don't know who Anna
Nicole Smith has had her. It looks like her friggin' lips had balloons put in them, like in 1995.
That was old Anna. I'm talking about when I was a kid, my guy. These are kid childhood crushes, but she was.
Dog, that's not.
In the 90s. Okay. Okay. Next,
I can't weigh in on that. Yo, first of all,
1998.
First of all, one of my reasons why I love soccer chicks, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a Mia Hamm right here.
Oh,
she will not be my last pick. Mia Hamm, not only was she an absolute stud for the U.S. women's national team, but she was also just so fabulous and fine out there while dusting motherfuckers. I loved it so much, dude.
Can I add an honorable mention there after Mia Hamm? Brandy Chastain is when I discovered sexuality, when she beat China on penalty kicks.
I have no qualms with that. And then last but not least, I will shout out R.I.P. my queen, Selena.
Oh, good pick. Good pick. J-Lo can't hold a candle to her.
Also, like Selena / J-Lo is perfectly fine for me, bro. Because J-Lo is
Selena, the OG. Fuck
bro,
J-Lo.
but J-Lo is fine, bro. You out here.
She's a Selena knockoff, bro.
You do not think J-Lo is hot? You're out of your mind, bro.
She's built her whole career off of just being Selena wannabe. So no,
she has not.
Hard pass.
She's an actress now. She's multiple time platinum. One of the best musicians of our generation.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like all good points, but they disagree with mine. So
yeah, that's exactly what he said, bro.
I'm just gonna.
I'm just saying, bro. Honorable mention Jennifer Lopez because god damn, she's fine. Speaking of a little mamacita with the melons, bro. Shoot,
yeah.
You know she's had kids. She could still throw that ass in the circle, bro.
Yeah. All right. Well, with my fifth and final pick, she was gonna be a honorable mention, but now that a couple of the OGs are gone, I'm gonna have to go with Alicia Silverstone.
That's a good pick, dude. She was Clueless, right?
Yeah. Talk about a chick who has kids now in her mid-40s, close to 50s.
I thought you were good. I'm really shocked you didn't pick Hillary Duff, bro.
No, because Hillary Duff when she was young wasn't fly. So back then it was Topanga. Now it's
Topanga.
Topanga's ugly now, and Hillary Duff
is she really ugly?
She got on that Kanye West workout plan, and the booty just went boop, 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 and it's just been amazing.
Wait, is Topanga ugly now?
I mean, she just looks.
Eric, look that up.
All right,
share your screen. Let's see if Topanga's ugly.
I'm actually curious now because I think every one of my friends had a crush on Topanga, bro.
Everybody did.
Also, what a fire name. Does anyone know what name Topanga is? Like what kind of national?
Well, her real name is Danielle.
A human name, I would think.
Oh, okay. You fucking DC fucking fuck, bro. This is why dude. You
couldn't even diss right.
Oh my god. This is why fucking men are beating women at women's sports, bro. We got to create safe havens for them, and then they fucking let dudes with dicks fucking race them or fight them in wrestling or UFC.
That's Danielle Fishel now.
I mean,
she looks the same.
I mean, she looks like a bunch of my friends from high school looking.
It's just not good, dude. Tell your friends they got to do something. Get on
Eric, look up the hottest girl from your high school.
I don't even know where to start there.
No, but I'm not saying you have to do it on the show.
Oh, I was like, I don't know, brother.
Some people don't age well. It's okay. It's called aging.
I don't think she looks the same. I don't know what the slander is there.
It's the plastic surgery and the big crackhead eyes and just looks like
she don't photo well, but I bet you if you were sitting there in the breakfast nook and the sun was coming in from behind her head and she was hitting you with those big doe eyes, you'd be like, God,
if I was
damn.
in the breakfast nook and the sun hit Betty White and her big eyes, it was going down, bro.
Whoa.
Betty White could get it. You take that back.
Betty White at 99
Betty White is funny enough to get it up until the day she died.
Bro, yeah. Betty
all
White.
The Golden Girls could get it.
I would love to be the reason why Betty White passed away. Like I was just piping her down and it was just too much, bro. I would have loved it.
Bette Midler could get it.
But there's a Reddit theory out there that says you can tell a boy's choice in girls by which Golden Girl he was attracted to. It's kind of tricky because I like women that aren't they ain't necessarily walking the straight and narrow, and I was a big fan of the chick that was loose on the show, so like it's just funny that it adds up with me. I don't know if it adds up with other people or if you even watch Golden Girls.
I don't know the theory.
Archetype go to?
Oh, dude,
Betty White. What would I be into?
I think she was the one that was like a Southern Belle, like church going girls. Like she was very meek, very mild, very quiet on the show. I mean, I can't say it's exact for everybody, but
shit, Nick is dead in the water. Nick is dead in the water, bro.
Wow, this shit is dumb.
Nick is dead in the water. He has no leg to stand on.
Yeah.
He's dead in the water. Someone rescue swim his ass out. And then what was Bette Midler?
I like Betty White. What kind of girls do I like?
Oh, this is classic rabbit hole content, bro.
Oh, shit.
Betty White calls men hobbit of hers. Hobby of hers.
Oh my goodness, dude. That's so funny. Nick was sunk as soon as Eric said all that. That's great, dude.
I was like, oh, well, I guess this is true.
Yeah, so I was a fan of Blanche, and I like fast women. And then Betty White was like the more level-headed. And then B. Arthur, who played Dorothy on the show. It's from what it looks like here, it's kind of like the mother figure who protects you, like the nurturer of the group.
Oh.
You know what, dude? I've never really watched Golden Girls, so I don't.
Missing out, dude.
I did it. I know my mom liked it. I just never. I remember it came on at Nick and I, and I would allow myself to fall asleep to it, so I didn't dislike it. But there's so much television to watch. Golden Girls was not something I was watching, bro.
Also, the Golden Girls are being reimagined. With an
okay. I think I might be more
with
on
what.
Board.
An all-black cast, and Tracy Ellis Ross is going to be the main.
I'm in.
One of the main characters.
I'm in.
Yeah,
everyone
loves Tracy Ellis Ross, dude. She's so.
Yo, Diana Ross's daughter. Yeah, that's a perfect. Yeah. So the fact that it's Diana Ross, who was like that time frame's daughter, rebooting it, I'm all in. I think I'm all right with that whole situation.
It's the only reason I sat through 9 seasons of Blackish.
Tracy Ellis Ross, bro, she has an energy. She has an energy about her that. Whew.
Well, dude, she grew up around musicians and the whole hippie love movement, and she grew up wealthy. Like, she just had I think she had who knows? I wasn't there, but I think she had a dope childhood. And just being around all those super dope, super soulful, talented people probably just rubbed off on her, and she's a super dope, chill person now.
Yeah. All right, so we have one more pick, Nick. Who do you got?
Yeah, it's gonna be Heidi Klum for my final pick.
Oh yeah, solid choice, bro. A lot of white women on this list.
I'm also gonna go honorable mention. The first ESPN or not ESPN Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition I ever got my hands on had Bar Raffaele on the cover. So she is a.
I'll allow it. Yeah, I'll allow it. My honorable mention is Megan Good. So I picked from my younger years, like when I was like, not necessarily teenager or in high school, but god damn, Megan Good was she changed the game for me. That's all I'm saying. she put me on another level.
Still doesn't look bad.
No, absolutely not. No, Megan Good is still fire. Like, man, there was what was the show? I think it might have just been called Girls.
Harlem?
No, it was like no, we're just gonna move. I love that answer, so I'm just gonna leave it there. We're gonna move on.
I mean, like, it's literally under movies and TV shows. It's the first movie Megan Good is in, or the first movie TV show she's in.
So I'm gonna submit 2 honorable mentions that
is it Harlem from like 2 years ago though? Sorry, Eric, I didn't mean to cut
it's
you
still
off.
on since
that's why I was laughing because you said Harlem, and I was like, that's not when we grew up. Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead. 2 honorable mentions.
Oh yeah, 2 honorable mentions that qualify under the category known as with Milk Melons. Denise Richards was fire, and Jennifer Connelly was fire when I was young. I love both those chicks when I was young.
Jennifer Connelly, is she the one who makes Bradley Cooper's life a living hell in what's that movie? God damn. He's Just Not That Into You? No, I don't like her.
It is her.
Yeah, she's in Top Gun as well. I don't like her.
Yeah,
I don't think she's that hot. I mean, those photos make me reconsider my opinion. I don't know. Anytime I see her in a movie, I'm just like, she's not attractive.
I mean,
it's preference. It's preference.
To me,
she's the journalist in Blood Diamond.
Demi Moore, and everybody seemed to love Demi Moore, and I thought Jennifer Connelly was significantly hotter. I don't know why, but I just thought she was way hotter. Maybe because of the big blue eyes and or green eyes, and then the brunette hair. Like that's just a recipe for any man to fail in life. Like brunette, green eyes, Milk Melons. Like just sign away my rights, give away 50%. It's over.
Love how Eric's on board with saying Milk Melons this whole episode now.
It's like he just discovered it. It's like he just discovered it was a word and he just can't stop saying it.
No, I only use it in terms of this specific situation. Okay. Right? She's got to be a drop dead dime brunette with just absolute smartness up top, dude. All right?
Like brain-wise, right, Eric?
Yeah,
Any honorable mentions, Nick?
No, I said mine, Bar Raffaelli.
Oh, that's right. All right, Eric, read us back our list, and we'll go ahead and move into the next topic.
Yeah, so top 5 childhood crushes. Jermaine had the first pick. Jennifer Love Hewitt, who would have been almost everybody's first pick. Nev Campbell, Marissa Tomei, Mia Hamm, and Selena. I had the second pick with Jay Aniston, Charlize Theron, Tiffany Thiessen, Anna Nicole Smith, and Alicia Silverstone. And then Nick had the third pick, Courtney Cox, Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Carmen Electra, and Mrs. Heidi Klum.
That's a who's who. And it's Miss right now.
Correction.
He needs to keep it open for him, bro.
She was married to Seal, right?
She was married to Seal,
She was.
Yeah. I'm surprised nobody said Sandra Bullock, because when Speed came out,
Sandra. So I would rather have Jennifer Connelly over Sandra Bullock. I would love to watch Sandra Bullock act over almost all those girls we picked. No, if that's what you're asking for, she just didn't. She didn't get me riled up unless it was Miss Congeniality. You know what I mean?
Get me riled up.
In Miss Congeniality.
I just pictured a 13-year-old Jermaine in his room, like fucking wilding out.
To Miss Congeniality, bro. That was me, just like wow.
So love me some Sandy B.
All right, so let's get into the NHL playoffs. Thank you for joining us for a pop culture pick'em. We are now shifting the conversation to arguably the greatest time of the year. NHL postseason, NBA postseason happening simultaneously. Game 7s galore, must-win matchups, teams with pedigree, with heart, with something to prove. And we'll actually start with the Western Conference. So we had the Western Conference 1 seed. Not Western Conference.
Can I before you start? Can I say a stat?
You can say whatever you want. It's your podcast. Too.
Since 1986, when we expanded the playoffs out, that's when the Stanley Cup playoffs became a thing. The actual playoffs. It actually happens more times than you think. 11 years since 1986, there has been no sweeps in the first round. Of those 11 years, there have been 4 playoffs where there have been no sweeps in the entire playoffs.
4 years? You said 4?
There have been 4 years. The other 7 have had, 6 of those 7 that had a sweep in the second round. So a little nugget to keep in the back of your head as we start talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh, fascinating. Let me pull up. This one doesn't have the divisions labeled on the bracket that I'm using. So pull up the standings real quick. All right. So we're going to actually start with the Central Division for obvious reasons. Just so that way I can say one sentence. Release the Kraken! Woo!
Sure. Yeah. They were
the 1 seed of the Central Division, the Colorado Avalanche, took on the wild card 1 of the Seattle Kraken. They went to 7 games. I really I don't know if the Avalanche have won 2 games worth of periods in the whole series, which is kind of staggering to get to 7 games. But Seattle ends up winning in Colorado game 7 to advance to the next round. Nick, thoughts?
Yeah, I said it at the beginning of last podcast when you asked me how I was doing. Well, 1, the Avs don't win back-to-back cups. 2, if you're more physical with the Avs and you work harder than they were or they did, you generally win a series. Last year, and I've been bitching about it all year. Last year in free agency, we lost Nazem Kadri. Andrew Burakovsky left to the Kraken and then didn't play. You're without Gabe Landeskog. Valerie Nichushkin had an unfortunate incident happen after game 3 involving a lady of the night and maybe too many adult beverages in a Seattle hotel room. That put him out for the playoffs. And generally the Avs for a team that came in so hot, they just did not look – they got beat up. They did not look comfortable. And even last night, a game that they dominated and probably should have won pretty handily. They hit 4 posts that I can remember and had their game-tying goal ruled offsides on a pretty blatant offsides. And Seattle did what they did the whole series. Seattle, I don't know. I'd have to look this up, but I think Seattle only outshot the Avs twice in a 7-game series, right?
Oh man, yeah, twice even feels generous,
right? So I mean, they didn't have it. I don't know what it was. Maybe this is the first time all the Avs had been hungry and they were done playing, but they were done playing hungry and playing with a chip on their shoulder because they were healthy. I don't know, but all credit to Seattle. They did what they needed to do, and beat the Avs.
Yeah, look, so we'd be remiss to say that Colorado didn't have questions all year long, right? So we kind of failed to forget that because they got hot at the end to end up winning their division. But there was a period of uncertainty in December and January where we were watching this team play ice hockey, and we were kind of like, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand what's happening with this team. Now they went through a list of injuries that is neither here nor there. Their captain was out for the entire season. you can look at a host of things, but for them to lose and lose in 7 this way kind of feels like a microcosm or a macrocosm of the entire season as a whole, right? So you saw the Avs that skate hard and win 6-3. I believe they won 6-3 in game 4, game 3, one of those two. And then you saw the Avs that just kind of couldn't get the engine revving, but they're still so talented that they were in every game, right? Yeah. In this game 7, it was exactly like that. As Nick alluded to, my goodness, they hit the post as much as the Kraken hit the post. The dude who scored the 2 goals for the Kraken hit the post 4 different times. Right. So then you had Rantanen hit the post, who had a breakaway he should have scored or passed. So that way the Avs would have scored. That might be like the biggest painstaking moment in the series for them. And that was game 7, but it was one of the easiest breakaways you'll see in hockey, where it's 2-on-1 and the 1 is the goaltender. And Rantanen shot a great shot, hit the post, and it just was it is. And Grubauer did not play like how he played in game 7, like he forgot how bad he played in the other 6 games.
And how bad he played for the Avs. That's what he forgot. He forgot how bad he was with the Colorado Avs.
Yeah, and he was put into a must-win revenge situation, and this podcast we're very much fans of revenge situations. Right. So in a game 7, I probably should have thought to bet the Kraken. I had a parlay cooked up for the Avs. When they disallowed the Avs Nathan McKinnon goal that would have tied the game, I said the parlay was sunk, that this game was over, because the crowd experienced the euphoria and then had it ripped from them. Yep. And that energy never came back. The team fell off from that letdown. And let's just say it. Jared Bednard, right? Bednard. I don't think he's a good coach. I don't think he's a good coach. I never have.
This has been your hill to die on. Yeah,
I never have, and I never will. It was even to the point where the announcers were like, you got to imagine that he's going to take a timeout here. And because Cale Makar's fucking winded and still raced and beat the Seattle winger who was coming down the line. And Jared Bednar was sitting there and he was just like looking around. He wasn't saying a word to anyone. Down 1 goal. He wasn't talking to anybody. There was no emotion. There was no enthusiasm. There was no will. And then the ref literally asked him if he wanted to take a timeout. And Bednard was like, "Yeah, we'll take a timeout."
Yeah, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge like the absolute awful performance of this was really the only series I watched with intent, aka I watched every series, but like I'd be on my phone, I'd be on my computer, I'd be doing something else and like listening to it. So you don't really pick that stuff up, but this series was just terrible officiating. Just awful. But I'm not going to use that as an excuse because the NHL playoffs as a whole this year have just been awful officiating. So let's move on from using that as an excuse.
So what I will say, and I don't think this is going to make you feel any better, there was an obvious tripping call in the 3rd period of a game 7 that, as a man who is cheering to release the Kraken just because fuck Nick in Nevada for cheering against the Blackhawks to get the worst record. So karma. Bro, I was just like, how was that? I was like, maybe I don't know fucking hockey. I even questioned if I didn't know hockey because it was such a bad call. The officiating this entire playoffs has been terrible for every team. So it's not really consolation, but it is what it is. So the Seattle Kraken advance, and they take on the winner of the Dallas Stars versus Minnesota Wild. That is the 2 versus 3 matchup of the Central Division. And Minnesota Mild, as we affectionately refer to them, put up a way better fight than I thought they would.
Through the first 3 games, yeah. Through the first 3 games, it looked like this was going to be a series that was going to go to this game 7. Not like we thought. We thought the Dallas Stars were going to run through this, but we thought the Avs and the Stars was really going to be this marquee matchup. Turns out, the Kraken proved us wrong, like we've been talking about. But yeah, I mean, Minnesota able to win the slogfest in the first game, that 2 overtime slogfest that they won. And then able to get one, able to win 5-1 in Minnesota in Game 3 is huge. They just ran out of gas. That's what it looked like, like
it looked. The final 3 games looked kind of how we thought the series would go.
Well, I think Game 4 was kind of Game 4 was kind of the backbreaker for the Wild, right? Like, I mean, you put 32 shots in on Dallas, and or you put 34 shots in, you only scored 2 of them. I mean, it was they didn't have a lot of chances. I think they just kind of, I mean. They scored. It was 3-1. They scored to make it 3-2, and then just couldn't do anything in the third period. I think that kind of broke the Mild will, and they couldn't really keep up after that.
I think I agree. They got undressed in the final 2 games. Dallas appeared to be who we thought they were. Shout out that epic press conference. But all right, so. Seattle versus Dallas, Eric. Who do you have winning the series?
Dallas.
All right, and Nick?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dallas as well.
I'm gonna ride the hot Seattle team. In hockey, I like to ride hot teams. The way Dallas struggled with Minnesota, I didn't really like. I don't think Kraken has the same kind of organizational just tenacity that Minnesota Wild has, but they're a second-year program, and it feels like very often that these expansion teams overachieve from expectation, especially this Kraken team. I thought they ruined their startup draft, and then just wasn't sold on them being that viable as a competitive hockey team. Yet here we are with them in the second round. So that's why we watch.
To your point, Dallas won the season series 2-1, but 2 of those games went into overtime. The winner in each of the games scored 5, 5, and 4 goals. They did not have under 7 goals in any of the games they played.
Oh, that is interesting. That's a good nugget. So if you're looking for bets in the Dallas Seattle series, look to the overs. Hopefully Vegas hasn't adjusted to that, but if not, then pick points or assists or goals for some of the top players, as this should be a fairly high scoring series. We'll get into the next Western Conference portion of the bracket. Sorry, lost my place on the ESPN app.
I'm just gonna say, moving forward, right, as we get into these, the Avs really felt like a back and forth kind of, right, where the Avs would have a great game, then the Kraken would control it, then the Avs would have a great game, then the Kraken control it. The next 3 series, including the one that we just looked at, the other 2 Western Conference series, it felt like those games in the first 4 games, you're like, all these series are going 7, and then the team that we thought they were who we thought they were, and they pulled ahead. That's kind of what I think happened.
It did start shaky for all the teams that we anticipated.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
to win it, and then the teams that we anticipated to win it got it together, and other than the Avs, who probably had the toughest matchup, if we're being honest. Yeah, other than the Avs, like, they all happen to get it together. So we'll get into the Vegas Knights Winnipeg Jets series. The Golden Knights won 4-1. This you might be looking at this gentleman's sweep and thinking to yourself, well, that doesn't seem very competitive. The Winnipeg Jets were more game than that this 4-1 series is going to tell you. So Vegas was the 1 seed coming out of the Pacific Division. Winnipeg Jets had one of the 2 wild card spots, and they actually took on the Vegas Knights. Vegas clinched relatively early compared to some of the rest of these series. I believe they were the only ones to get it done in 5. And so we'll just move on to what were your thoughts on this series, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, the same thing that I said about the Minnesota Wild Stars series can be applied to this, right? Winnipeg got that hot start, stealing one in Vegas 5-1. They got whooped in the second game. Go back to Winnipeg. You're glad to split one. You're glad to split one with the Western Conference's best team. You go into this double overtime game with the Knights. If you win that game, it's a completely different series. Now you have your home fans on you. It's 2-1. If you can tie, you can go tied going back into, this is what we saw in the Kraken game. If you can survive Colorado and win in Colorado, that sometimes gives guys who are very, very good at professional sports, it sometimes gives them that little bit of edge that they can have. Just like with the Minnesota one, I think that when Winnipeg got beat in the double overtime game, it was a wrap for the series. And you saw it in their game 4. Vegas went up 3-1. The Jets got it to 3-2, and then Vegas scored 4-2. And then in game 5, it was all Vegas all the time, not even close.
Yeah. So when you're an underdog, you need to capitalize on scenarios like a double overtime victory. You need to capitalize on it, because if not, to be that close on home ice ends up being a demoralizer. That's one of the reasons why the Golden State Warriors, with Steph Curry hitting crazy 3-point shots, can just steal a team's soul. And that's kind of what Vegas did. You saw it in games 4 and 5. The Winnipeg Jets didn't have that same fight. They didn't have the belief. It's one thing to believe. It's another thing to have belief that ends up in results, because then you can look at it as concrete evidence. And when you can look at things as concrete evidence, then yeah, you can move that direction.
Yeah, 100%.
And so shout out to Winnipeg Jets. I thought they would be good this year. I didn't actually pick them to make the playoffs. I apologize to Winnipeg Jets fans, because I was all over some of these teams and I didn't have them making it, partly because I had no, this isn't the right. Well, partly because of Calgary, bro.
Yeah, Calgary. Yeah, I mean, you speak of how Calgary struggled. Darren Sutter just got fired, Daryl Sutter just got fired by the Flames. So you see how disappointed that team was after going to the conference finals last year.
Yeah, I don't think that team should have missed the Stanley Cup playoffs. So that's crazy. So we'll move into the final Pacific Division matchup, the final Western Conference matchup. Edmonton Oilers took on the Los Angeles Kings, in which is a very awful matchup for the Edmonton Oilers. Because the Los Angeles Kings just seem to be that team that is you just can't get rid of them. I hate the Los Angeles Kings. If they cease to exist as a franchise because some sort of fiery ball of fire engulfed them, there would be no tears shed from me. Shout out the Edmonton Oilers, my pick to win the Stanley Cup Finals this year, for taking down the LA Kings 4-2. So 6-game series. And what are your thoughts, Nick?
Every single game felt like a game 7 in this series.
Oh, yes.
I know the Oilers won it, in 6 games, which doesn't really, doesn't really feel it. This game, besides the game 5, the 3, like the Oilers won 6-3. Every game was decided by 2 goals or less. There were 3 overtime games, right? The final game Game 6 was won 5-4 by Edmonton. I mean, every single one of these, it felt like the Oilers. And to your point, every single game felt like each team was on the brink of it should have gone. For my amusement, I wanted it to go. I wanted it to go 7.
As a Edmonton backer, I did not want it to go 7. As a sports fan, I wanted it to go 7. So first of all, 2 best words in all sports is game 7. If you don't think that's what it is, then you just watch 2 of the best teams play each other, and then have an ultimate must-win scenario where everything has to be played to perfection. It's amazing to watch that situation. But I do think that even though this went 4-2, I do think Edmonton looked like the better ice hockey team in every single game. There wasn't one game where I thought, oh man, Los Angeles is so much better than Edmonton. I didn't think that, which is not something that usually happens when it comes to Edmonton.
I mean, here's the thing that you can say, right? And that the Avs didn't do. Good teams win hockey games like this. Good teams win close, tough hockey games. You come from behind, you hold leads, and sometimes you don't get up 3 goals. You have to hold 1-2 goal leads, right? And series like this, we saw it with the Avs winning the Cup last year. If you can win games like that, you can prove that you can go down and come back. Then you can't really be beat as a hockey team. If you're good, and the Edmonton Oilers are good, right? Like it is a team morale booster to be a good team that plays in close games in the playoffs. And that's what Edmonton did. They played good, tough games, and I think it does not look good for the Vegas Golden Knights, who actually looked lost.
I think the confidence that Edmonton gained from that Los Angeles Kings series is going to rear its head in this 1 versus 2 matchup. And that's a perfect place to start. Eric, who do you have winning between the Las Vegas Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers?
I'm going to go with Edmonton.
All right,
I don't have much analysis. I'm just giving you guys my picks for these.
That's perfectly fine, brother. And Nick, who do you have winning this series?
Well, I apologize. I said Calgary made it to the finals last year. They didn't. The Edmonton Oilers made it to the conference finals last year. So now Edmonton sees a team that absolutely dog-walked them in the finals last year lose. Edmonton has to be riding high. I have Edmonton winning this, and the season series backs me up. Edmonton won 3 of 4, including beating Vegas in Vegas twice. Also, none of these games finished under 7 goals, and the only win that the Knights had was in overtime. So a little nugget.
Dang, that's pretty crazy. So one of the reasons why I took Edmonton to make the leap to make the Stanley Cup Finals this year is because they lost to the Avalanche last year in what was an outstanding series that the Avalanche wanted nothing to be a part of. They were like, let's get to the Stanley Cup and get this team out of here, because that Edmonton Oilers team was feisty and they were a lot less talented last year than they are this year. We're going to go ahead and move into the Metropolitan Division. So we have the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the New York Islanders, one of 2 New York teams in this Metropolitan Division to qualify. Carolina went on to win 4-2. The New York Islanders were kind of exposing them early on, which is kind of something that Nick had touched on early. And Carolina adjusted. They adjusted hard, and they closed fast.
Yeah, I would say this is another game in which, the first 2 games got played in Carolina in PNC, and you went, okay, this is the Carolina Hurricanes are doing it. Yeah, they're not winning by a lot, but that's what we expected because they're down 2 of their best players, right? They're winning 2-1. They're winning 4-3 in overtime. Then you got to game 3, and the Islanders won 5-1. You kind of open the eyeballs a little bit, right? You got to game 4, the Hurricanes got it back, and you're like, oh, okay, like They're going to be fine. You go back, they're fine. They're going back to PNC. They didn't really have an issue going back to PNC. Game 5 in PNC, the Islanders again showed up, right? Showed up, beat the Hurricanes 3-2. Hurricanes needed overtime in Game 6. We said it before, right? When we were previewing, Carolina is without their 2 best players, right?
That's a big deal.
And I think the Islanders, who if Carolina has those guys, I think they handle the Islanders pretty easily. Looking forward a little bit. Watch out for the team that we're going to talk about next against Carolina.
Yeah, buddy, let's go. So Carolina gets the 4-2 victory over the New York Islanders. And then one of the Room 303 hotly anticipated matchups of this first round series was the New Jersey Devils taking on the New York Rangers. And boy, did it ever live up to the hype, except for Game 7, where the New Jersey Devils absolutely cemented their mettle and put their foot on the throats of a very game New York Rangers squad, beating them 4-0 in the decisive Game 7 matchup. What are your thoughts on this series, Nick?
Each of these games, it was pure. There was not a game in here that was not pure domination from start to finish by the team that won. Right? First 2 games, both 5-1 victories by the Rangers in New Jersey. I'm starting to say, you guys should have listened to me, right? You should have listened to me. I'm a prophet reborn. I said New Jersey was going to come here. New Jersey was going to lose because New York had the playoff experience. These guys are a year removed from almost getting to the conference finals. You got to listen to me. New Jersey comes back in the Garden, beats the Rangers in overtime, beats them 3-1, right? Then they go back to New Jersey. They beat the Rangers 4-0. Game 6, the Rangers win 5-2. Game 7, the Devils win 4. There was never, I guess, aside from that overtime game in Game 3, right? There was never a game in here where you were like, oh, it was a good game, right? It was, I think I watched 3 of these games because they were on a little bit earlier on the East Coast. I turned them all off. I was like, oh, this game's over, right?
And you were right. Most of the time, you were right.
This game's over, right? Well, the overtime game I watched, but you're like, oh, this game's over. Like, I got an hour until actual hockey starts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude. So this series was supposed to be closer, and technically it went 7, so it was close, but it never felt close ever. I literally sat there and I wrote the Devils off when they lost 2 at home, right. And you scored 2 goals, and you let 10 goals go into your own net. I was just like, how the fuck are they going to win in Madison Square Garden? Sure enough, this is why we watch. And here we are. The New Jersey Devils had advanced to the second round to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Who do you have winning this matchup, Nick?
Yeah, it's going to be the Devils, I think. We talked about the struggles of the Hurricanes, and right, and let me give you these stats, right? When the Hurricanes were fully healthy before the injury to
Shesterkin?
No, that's the Rangers goalie. Svechnikov.
Oh, you're talking about Carolina's injuries.
Yeah. But before their injury, the Carolina Hurricanes held a 2-0 advantage over the New Jersey Devils. Since then, the Rangers are 2-0, and they've won by 2 goals each time. Right? I think New Jersey is when they can dominate a team, they can dominate a team. And I think that's what we're going to see in this series, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Devils either sweep or win this game in a gentleman's, or win the series in a gentleman's sweep.
Wow, that much dominance! You really expect that? So the names on the Carolina injury report: Jack Jury, center; Teuvo
Teravainen,
Teravainen, left winger;
Teravainen, and
Andrei Svechnikov.
Yeah, Svechnikov. Yeah,
Svechnikov. Oh my goodness, that was a tongue tie right there. All right, so I'm going to give my pick on this one. I haven't picked on the other ones, but I think the Devils win this one as well. Eric, who do you got?
Devils. I got the Devils.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yo, you ain't gotta say it like that, bro. That's scary, dude. All right, so we're gonna go into the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Another one of the Room 303 most exciting series of the first round. Toronto ends up winning 4-2 over arch nemesis Tampa Bay Lightning. Nick, thoughts?
Toronto Maple Leafs up 3-1. Oh shit! Here we go again. Right? I think you look. I even after Toronto went up 3-1, I had Tampa Bay winning. I mean, they stole 2 games from Tampa. Game 3 in overtime, good to win that one. Game 4, I mean, Tampa Bay is up 4-1 going into the third period. And Tampa Bay loses 5-4. I was like, this series should be 2-2 heading back to Toronto, right? Tampa Bay wins game 5 in Toronto. Game 6, they needed, Tampa Bay did what good teams do, and they won on the road. And they won on the road in close games and apply the things that I'm saying, apply the things that I said about Edmonton, apply them to this team. I mean, you have to win in close games. Good hockey teams win in close games and use that to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, this felt like a coronation moment.
And I was watching this game 6, when it went into overtime. I had probably 12 friends at a bar, all drinking, having a good time, and I left those friends to stand awkwardly in front of the one bar TV and drink my beer and watch the Toronto Maple Leafs. And a couple of friends came over and they said, "What are you doing?" I'm watching a hockey game I don't care about. I don't care about because it's the time for the Maple Leafs. And if the Lightning would have won, the Lightning would have won the series, but they didn't. So
100%. That series was over if Toronto lost game 6. Here's the thing. You cannot have a 3-1 lead and allow it to get to game 7 as the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Right.
That game 4 victory, that come from behind, force overtime, win in overtime victory, that told me that this Maple Leafs team was a different Maple Leafs team. It's exactly what I talked about when we were leading into the NHL postseason. And I agree with what I had picked there. I think Toronto has got to be cheering about the next matchup we'll discuss. So that wraps up that matchup. And the final matchup for today's NHL postseason talk before we predict our winners of the round 2 matchup. The President Trophy winning, win record setting, point record setting Boston Bruins take on the Florida Panthers, the President Trophy winners of last year, in what was an absolute dogfight of a competitive matchup. And bro, the Boston Bruins lost 4-3 to the Florida Panthers. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, you could say, and you'll talk about this when we get into NBA. I think that the NBA's 8 seed knocking off a 1 seed is way more impressive. I got asked this by a friend. What's more impressive, an NBA 8 seed knocking off a 1 seed? Well, that's only happened 6 times in history, right?
So it's definitely NBA.
Right. It's definitely NBA. The NHL, this happens every year. We talk about it every year, right? The last team to set this record, the 2018-2019 Lightning,
lost in the first round. Yeah.
Right? The Panthers last year, I believe, lost. Did they lose in the first round?
No, I don't. I believe they lost in the second round. Eric, can you look that up for us?
What did you say? That since
the invention of the President's Trophy in 1983-1984, there have been 11 teams that have won the President's Trophy and went on to win the Stanley Cup Trophy. The last team to do it was the 2013-2014 Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah, of course, your boy Skinny P knows that stat. We're about to hit a decade since the President's Trophy winner there has only been one President's Trophy winner to make a conference finals, not the Stanley Cup finals, the conference finals. Bro, that's crazy. Yeah, I was correct. Florida lost to Tampa in the second round because Tampa ended up making the Stanley Cup finals.
Right.
It's unbelievable. The kiss of death, the President's Trophy has presented to the NHL, which is just crazy. And we'll talk about the NBA trophy later when Eric and I cover the NBA, but it's it's insane. It's insane. If you thought coming into this that the most dominant regular season team was going to lose to the Florida Panthers, give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because ain't nobody covering the NHL think that Boston would lose in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, we got to talk about it. You can't pull Ullmark going into Game 7.
Yeah, I'm kind of struggling to understand what went on here, right? So he allows 1 goal in Game 1. He allows 6 goals in Game 2. He allows 2 goals in both 3 and 4. He allows 4 goals with an overtime winner in Game 5. He allows 7 goals in Game 6, and you pull it for Game 7, in which you lose 4-3 in the Garden in overtime, a rehash of Game 5, right? In which the Bruins stormed back. By the way, the team that scored first in this series won all 7 games.
That's a crazy stat.
Yeah.
What was there was another crazy stat that we saw. I think it might have been in the Avs series. I can't remember it, but I mean the power play goals in that series were dismal. But keep going.
I think that's just it, right? That's like I don't know why you pull him. Yeah, of course your rookie goalie gives up 4 goals in a Game 7, or rookie goalie. I don't know if he's a rookie goalie, but yeah, your backup that you haven't played. You know, Lundqvist was talking on the but intermission show, whatever TNT puts on. And he kept saying like, oh, this he's not getting his feet set as a goalie. He's not getting his feet set. He's going down too early. He looks like he's nervous. Yeah, I'd be nervous too, right? I haven't played all series. It's a Game 7. It's the best. You have the best team against a team that didn't really won the President's Trophy last year. Didn't play well this year, but that's the hockey playoffs for you. So,
correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys said previously when we did the NHL awards that Ullmark was the best goalie all season, right? That he's going to win the award.
Ullmark is a Vezina Trophy winner. Yes, correct.
Okay, so just Game 7, you decide to pull him. That doesn't really sound logical to me.
He's a Vezina winner. I don't know if there's like, I mean, you got to go with it. I get it, right? If you don't like him and he loses in Game 7, that's a different conversation, right? Then you can say, oh, oops, I was wrong. But now everything comes on. I don't actually know who the Bruins coach is. Jim Montgomery, apparently. Jim Montgomery.
That's the Bruins head coach?
It's the Bruins head coach. You know, why in a Game 7 are you not going with your Vezina Trophy winner who has won big games for you all year long? You're you know, if he wins, then think about Game 1, Game 2. You give Swaymark some games, right? You give him some time, right? And then you decide who the hot hand is from there. But you don't just throw a cold guy in Game 7. That's not how it works.
Bro. Was it this game where the goalie had the broken stick and I think that was the Edmonton Oilers game.
Yeah,
So
that was the Oilers game. And
that was the Oilers game.
The dude missed, the dude buried the goal.
The Kings buried it. No. So, I mean, the kid played admirably, right? He got them into overtime, and they lost in overtime in what was a good team goal. But you can't take the guy who's won you 40-plus games, who started almost 70 games for you in the season or some nonsense like that. And just you can't bench him in game 7. That is going into a game 7 at home. You cannot sap the confidence of your team by benching your stud goalie.
Yep. And for all the guys that like Boston had, you kind of saw Jim Montgomery lose the bench a little bit. Like these playoff, like something had to be happening behind the scenes, because you had guys like David Pastrnak, you had guys like Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron looking nervous on the ice, like just taking making stupid calls, taking stupid penalties. You got to, as a coach, you got to step in at that point. Just like we talked about, like Jared Bednar, right? You can't. Sometimes uber talented guys also need to be reminded that they're just players in this league as well, right? Or something they need coaching.
Look, you had a team with some all-time great veterans who have been there, done that before.
Brad, I mean, what was it? Marchand had played in 8 game 7s, has played in 8 game 7s in his career.
I wasn't sure how many he had played, but I was going to say he's been in the league for 16 years. You know what I mean? So, yes, 16 years. You could probably cut that in half and pick the number of game 7s because they're pretty frequent in hockey. So, I absolutely agree with that. Yes. Like, and here's the thing. All year they were talking about winning it for Marchand, who is out the door now because he's a free agent. And I think Bergeron is also a free agent. Right? They've been playing together since, like, I'm also super happy, by the way. I hate the Boston Bruins. I'm also super happy that those guys are out the door. But they have been doing this for a very long time. And somehow this coach had the ability to take their confidence from them. And that is the opposite of what a coach is supposed to do. A coach is there for one thing and one thing only, right? You present game plans and you instruct them on how to execute throughout the game, and you make adjustments based on what's being done to you. The most important thing is you have to ensure every single guy from beginning to end, line 1 to line 5, is confident, because you know how people perform in pressure-packed situations. It's having the confidence to know you've been there, done that before. And benching Ullmark did the exact opposite.
Yep. Preach.
So, with that being said, we have the Florida Panthers taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs in the second round. Who do you guys have winning this division or this matchup?
I think this is going to be a lot closer than people think. A lot closer. In the regular season, the Maple Leafs won the series 3-1, including wins in Florida both times. 2 games went to overtime, though, and only one of these games was decided by more than 1 goal.
Yeah, I agree with you. The President's Trophy winner from last year is still a very good ball club. They should not have been a wild card team this year. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Look, Toronto's over one hump, and they have the confidence to go. And now if Carolina wins, they're hosting through the end of the postseason. You know, maybe not in the Stanley Cup Finals, but you're going to get 4 home games per series. Toronto, don't fuck this up. I have Toronto winning this.
Eric.
Toronto barely learned how to win the first round. They're out. Florida's moving on.
Oh, Jesus. I hate you, Eric. You said it was going to be a Canadian winner the other day, and now you're just going to ignore it.
No.
He's going to fade the Canadians. All right, Nick, I appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next week. Have a very good night.
Tens and tens.
Eric and I are going to close out today's podcast with our NBA coverage. Eric, you get to pick. What side do you want to start on, East or West?
Let's just start on the West.
All right. So we'll talk about the 1 versus 8 matchup, the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves. Denver ended up closing out 4-1. Any comments on that one?
They should have handled business in 4, but they still got it done in 5. So they look deep. They look tough. They look like the number 1 seed that they deserved. And I think everybody's talking about this, that, LeBron, Curry, this, that. The Nuggets are coming, baby, and they're coming hard. And, of course, Chris Paul just got injured again. Live update, Chris Paul just got injured again. So.
Yeah, so we'll touch base on the second round a little bit, but as Eric's alluding to, the perennial hamstring pull that is Chris Paul, that is his nickname that I use in all our hoops chat. Chris Paul cannot stay healthy. I will say this: the final 2 games of the Minnesota-Denver series, the Anthony Edwards showed me something that I hadn't seen from him all season long.
Yes, he did. He really did. He didn't take the full leap all season like you were talking about all year, wanting them to see him take that leap. He did expand on that role, on that leadership, on that dog in those last 2 games. But you can't talk about that without talking about what happened after the Game 5 loss.
Yeah, I'll let you open it up. It's a very disappointing situation. I will say I don't think it's intentional, but
but you have to have So after the Game 5 loss, Anthony Edwards was upset and threw a chair that ended up injuring 2 employees, 2 staff members of the. It was in.
I think they worked for Nuggets Arena. Or they worked the arena, and maybe it wasn't necessarily like the training staff or anything like that. But it not a good look.
He got a simple battery case, and I understand emotions are heated, but the thing is, man, is you have to be well-rounded as the leader of a team. You and I kind of tagged along on that. Have been saying that he needs to be the leader of this team, take the leap, take over control, be their go-to guy, and to be that guy. Your emotions have to be in check because in a Game 7, you can't lose control like that.
Or in any game or at any time. Here's, and I'm going to jump in here real quick and I'll give it back to you. But this was a microcosm of what we saw from Minnesota all year, right? Mm-hmm. Think about it. Just before the play-in game, Jaden McDaniels punched a wall.
Broke his hand. He's out.
Broke his hand. He's out. Mm-hmm. Super valuable wing defender who's going to play the best players in this league. The Jason Tatums, the LeBron James, the Kevin Durant's, oh my goodness, the Michael Porter Jr.'s, the Jamal Murray's, like the Kawhi Leonard's, the Paul George's, the Steph Curry's, the Klay Thompson's. Like these are the persons that this dude was supposed to guard. Yeah. And they didn't have him for an entire series. Mm-hmm. Rudy Gobert punched Kyle Anderson.
Yep. Go ahead.
No, I'm just naming instance, right? Like, and this kind of goes to our Memphis conversation, which we'll get into here in a second. But if you cannot control your team as a head coach, you gotta go. I know that Chris Finch is a good story and we want him to succeed and blah, blah, blah. But let's be fucking real here. Yeah. They made a trade to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and they barely made the 8 seed. They barely made the 8 seed and then fell apart because there was no accountability in that locker room. This is literally the same locker room that we had Jimmy Butler beat a group of guys with the G League squad.
Yeah. And that story started circulating as soon as this happened.
Exactly. This is the same squad that signed Maple Jordan to a 5-year full max contract, fully guaranteed, expecting him to make the leap. Mm-hmm. Not, hey, he made the leap, let's pay him. We're expecting you to make the leap.
Yeah.
And now he's a championship winner And if Steph Curry wasn't Steph Curry, he might have been an NBA Finals MVP.
And arguably should have been.
No, I know. Steph Curry should have won it, but like
but you have to.
It was close.
Not to roll into that conversation, but you cannot underestimate what he did on defensive end for them.
Yeah, but Steph Curry balled out in that series.
Yeah. All right.
He did, bro. He did. He undressed the backcourt of the Celtics. I will give you that. The voting was closer than it should have been. But that just speaks to the quality of talent that Andrew Wiggins is. But there are some question marks here in this Minnesota, and it's not good.
Yeah,
it's not good.
I think they need to reassess. They're gonna reassess. They're gonna realize that trade was idiotic. They're gonna realize they're gonna have to move somebody, and for Ant Edwards to develop into who he has to be, they're gonna have to build around him better. And Finch, I know you said it's a great story. This is not a personal attack on Finch. He's never done anything wrong, said anything wrong, whatever. I just don't think you got to have the biggest dick in the room to lead men like this.
I didn't think he was the guy when they hired him. So you ain't saying anything that's going to make me sad or offended. I wanted him to be successful, as I want every coach, every draft pick, everybody. I want to see them shine. I would love to see that, dude. I want Will Levis to be the fucking guy for Tennessee, bro. Like, I would really love to see that, just because people doubted him, and the story is that much better. True. Is it gonna happen? Probably not.
Yeah.
But this, if Minnesota doesn't think they should trade Karl Anthony Towns now, Minnesota is in purgatory for the next decade.
Even if they trade him, they're not going to get back what they gave up. It's not going to happen. So
it doesn't matter. It does not matter about getting back what you gave up. It matters about building a team. It matters about building a team that is going to compete for what you want to win. Nobody wants to win playing games. Nobody wants to win playing games. If you have to do it, you have to do it. It still gives you a shot. Denver Nuggets didn't want to play a playing game this year. The Los Angeles Lakers didn't want to play a playing game this year. The Chicago Bulls didn't want to play. They didn't want to play a playing game. You know what I mean? You know, Denver Nuggets handled business, got the 1 seed. Chicago Bulls, LA did not. They had to play in, and I hope the basketball gods smiled on them. So it's crazy. Shout out to Denver Nuggets getting the job done and moving on to the conference semifinals. They are currently taking on the Phoenix Suns, who defeated the Clippers in the same amount of games, 4-1. Before I hand it over to you, Eric, this says Phoenix won 4-1. It was so much closer than that. So much closer. This was a much more competitive series than the overall output says. What are your thoughts?
So what you said, 4-1, it looks bad, but keep in mind they were in most of those games without their 2 best players, right? Not Chris Paul. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time. Yeah, but the biggest takeaway I got from this, I'm not going to go here and say what Stephen A said about that they need to force him to retire, but they need to legitimately take into consideration this man is not going to be available for us. And I know that I have a history of hating on him, so I don't want that to bleed into this, but you got to look at it from a business standpoint. You're not there when we need you. You're not ever there when we need you. You got to move on from him. I'm sorry. It's not because I hate him. It's not because of any of that. It's because from a GM standpoint, I've invested $40 million a year into you, and I'm getting $5 million worth of play. $20 million worth of play. 50. All right.
He's getting Jordan Poole level of play. He's getting Jordan Poole level of play.
In game 1 and 2, he showed us why he's worth $40 million a year.
The reason why I defend him, games 1 and 2, Kawhi Leonard showed us, but games 3, 4, 5, He showed us why I don't stand on that hill. I'll present the counter argument, but if someone wants to beat me over the head with it, I'm gonna say, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. And that is
biggest takeaway I got from that series, and this is I'm just gonna sum it up like this. The Suns are weak outside of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And they got exposed. And I think it's bye-bye birdie for the Suns in this next series.
So yeah, so before we move any further, we actually forgot to touch on what we kind of put together. I had sent some other names to you. We didn't get it added to the document, but it's neither here nor there. We're going to discuss the injuries of the first round real quick, Eric. So,
yeah.
Eric put this list together. NBA injuries / suspensions in the playoffs. So that way we can include Draymond Green into the situation. But Giannis Antetokounmpo missed. He played like 11 minutes in game 1, missed 2 and 3, played in 4 and 5, and lost in 5 games total. Jimmy Butler sprained his ankle. Actually, hold on. Jimmy Butler hurt his back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, you want to walk us through this? You can.
I mean, I don't remember all the injuries. I'm
okay.
kind of piecing along with it. But Jimmy, I think he hurt his back. And he did sprain the ankle in a game, but he actually kept playing that game because he's such a dog. But Jimmy,
that was the last game. Jimmy sprained his ankle against the Knicks. He hurt his back, missed game 4, which the Heat still won. Victor Oladipo, what was it? Torn? No, he patella tendon. Patella tendon.
Yeah.
God, he is this generation's. Grant Hill still had a great career, but he's this generation's kind of Grant Hill type player. T-Mac.
I think more Brandon Roy, because he had like 2 or 3 years, and then after that, it was just injury after injury after injury. That's where
but Brandon
all-star careers.
Brandon Roy, yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that. But Brandon Roy only played 5 years. He was done. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 5 to 7 years, maybe. Yeah. So maybe that's more correct. Yeah. So Victor Oladipo going the way of Brandon Roy. I mean, he went from promising to Jesus, bro. Like everyone's just hoping he doesn't get hurt. And when he gets close to being healthy, you see the flashes again. That's what's so sad about the situation. Like he is good at basketball. Like that's what's so tragic about it. Tyler Hero broke his hand in game 1, the same game that Giannis got hurt in. Joel Embiid was targeted by the Brooklyn Nets, hurt his back and tore his meniscus. And it's looking like it might be much worse than that, where he's actually going to need a postseason postseason procedure. Any comments?
I want the NBA to look into that. No, because this isn't 80s, 90s basketball anymore. You can't let these fools fly around the court and not call fouls. And then because it's playoff time, people are targeting Joel, falling towards his knee, making sure he can't do his patented tuck and roll when he falls. It's just little shit like that. And like, this is a franchise player. This is a $50 million man. Like,
he's about to be the league MVP.
If I could fist fight every single Brooklyn Nets player, I would take that risk. I'd probably die, but I would take that risk just to get at least one lick. Especially, you know what? I'm not even gonna get into it. Let's keep going with the injuries because fucking puts.
Draymond Green was suspended because Domantas Sabonis grabbed his leg. And so him trying to step over and out of the way ended up stepping down on him. But hey, grab my leg, you're gonna get hit, bro. Like I don't care where we are, what we're doing. Like, so it's kind of bullshit. And then to watch Sabonis the whole series, be pretty dirty when it came to actually playing the game of basketball. It was a pretty tough pill to swallow, but it is what it is. Gary Payton II, I mean, he's played all postseason, but he missed up until like 3 days 3 or 4 games before the postseason started. Kawhi Leonard, as we just touched on, his degenerative knee flared up again. He's probably gonna need surgery again. Tore his meniscus again. Paul George had a serious leg injury in the actual regular season, and in order for him to come back, he would have needed to have gotten to the second round. Wasn't going to happen. De'Aaron Fox broke his thumb.
He did, but he was also suspended.
De'Aaron Fox was suspended?
Wasn't he suspended for? No, that was DeJounte. Never mind. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox's thumb. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, sorry.
I thought he was the one that got into the beef with the ref, but it was not. No, I apologize.
No. Different fast point guard. Ja Morant broke his hand in the Lakers-Grizzlies series, which kind of cemented the Lakers win. But Lakers fans want to bitch about the Celtics being lucky, despite the fact that the Grizzlies were also missing Brandon Clark and Steven Adams, and for the final 2 games of the series, Luke Kennard had a shoulder injury and couldn't play. But yeah, it's just the Celtics who are lucky.
And just on that point, really quickly, we'll talk about it later. But what was the one reason why the Lakers won that series? Rebounding. What do Steven Adams and Brandon Clark do?
Rebound like a motherfucker, bro.
Let's keep it pushing, fucking Lakers.
DeJounte Murray, Eric's guy, the boneheaded play, bumped a referee. After I do agree, the Hawks had some tough calls to swallow in game 4, but you cannot do what you did. It's stupid. Yeah. Especially if you've already lost the game. What are you winning at that point? Nothing. You won the ability to pay the NBA about $25,000 of your hard-earned money. So congratulations to you, sir. Jaden McDaniels, we touched on, punched the wall, knucklehead. Naz Reid, unfortunately, the guy who gave me the confidence to say the Minnesota Timberwolves might have been a problem in the postseason. I said this like 2 weeks before the postseason was happening when Karl-Anthony Towns came back and they had their full complement. I was like, yo, this team might actually be a team that can cause some problems. And then Naz Reid went down, had a season-ending knee injury. Then Jaden McDaniels and the Rudy Gobert back spasms and the punch to Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson actually got hurt in game 4 of the Minnesota Timberwolves game, so we don't actually have him on here. Kyle Anderson got hit in the face by Anthony Edwards on a defensive play where they were both collapsing on a driver, and Anthony Edwards hit him in the face. He missed game 5. They lose. They're eliminated. Jericho Sims, I didn't actually know he was hurt. So Jericho Sims for the Pelicans, didn't know he was hurt. That makes a lot more sense why they had issues rebounding. Quentin Grimes, I think Quentin Grimes was hurt in game 1 for the Heat still. I don't remember what happened to him. It might have been a hamstring or something like that. Cam Payne, which is the reason why the Chris Paul injury is a big deal for Phoenix, because Cam Payne's already hurt and out. Luke Kennard. And then, as we just said, Chris Paul got hurt. I know we're missing some people.
I'm trying to run through it. I don't. If any come back to me while we're going through the episode, I'll point out injuries during the series. But I think we covered most of them.
Yeah, so we're getting into the Suns Clippers. We just talked about the injuries. The Suns ended up winning 4-1. It's kind of chalk, but it did raise some questions for the Phoenix Suns as far as their validity as an actual legitimate contender, adding KD. Their depth took a big-time hit when they took it, and they don't have the assets necessarily available to them to fill that depth in the postseason. I mean, in the offseason. So currently the Phoenix Suns are down 2-0 to the Denver Nuggets. And the Denver Nuggets might be the quietest 1 seed in the history of the NBA. A fun little fact that we'll release or that we'll get into later is about the seeds that have advanced. But who do you have winning between the Nuggets and Suns? I mean, you already have inside baseball.
Nuggets. Gentleman's sweep at this point.
Gentlemen's sweep at this point. Chris Paul's injury, yeah, I think it's pretty fair. So we had a buddy of ours just this weekend say that he doesn't even think it's particularly close. And 2 games in, he's already been kind of vindicated because, they gave the Nuggets all they could handle in this game defensively, right? I think the Nuggets barely cracked 100, or they didn't even crack 100, but they still won by 10 or 12. So it's going to be a very interesting dichotomy. I think Denver wins and advances. It's not even particularly close. So that's the 1 versus 4 matchup. So now we'll move on to the final 2 series of the first round in the Western Conference. The Sacramento Kings, God bless them, the 16-year streak breaker of not qualifying for the postseason. The number 3 seed Sacramento Kings had the unfortunate draw of playing the number 6 seed Golden State defending champion Warriors in a best of 7 series. And if I tell you this series had it all, I think I would still be selling it short. Game 1, the Warriors missed a shot.
Yeah,
to win.
Oh, Harrison Barnes, right? No. Who missed the shot?
Andrew Wiggins missed a shot.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins missed a shot. Was it game 1 or game 2? It doesn't really matter. And then the Kings went on to win the second game. So they held serve at home against a team that was
notoriously bad on the road.
Notoriously bad on the road. I believe if you factor in the 2 postseason wins that they had this series against the Kings, one in game 5 and one in game 7. So that should give you the spoilers as to who advanced. It gives them 12 road wins for the season, even with 2 in the postseason. So game 1, Andrew Wiggins misses the shot. Golden State thinks, hey, we could very easily have had that game. Game 2, the Kings handle business. It's not close. Draymond gets suspended in game 2. Game 3, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney, Gary Payton II. They all take it pretty fucking personally that everyone had sold them out and that Sacramento was going to win this game because Draymond was out. And lo and behold, one of the teams with the best home records held serve at home in game 3. Steph Curry reminded everyone who he was, a bad fucking man, and made this a 2-1 series. Game 4, Draymond comes back, volunteers to come off the bench to get Jordan Poole, who is significantly better as a ball player when he starts versus coming off the bench, to give him the opportunity to start and get rhythm in the game. The Warriors pulled that out, and I believe it was 126-124 or 126-125.
That's the Harrison Barnes miss game.
Harrison Barnes ends up with a wide open 3-point shot after Steph Curry drives De'Aaron Fox into Draymond Green and forces the ball to be kicked. Harrison Barnes hits a clanker back rim. Golden State moves back to Sacramento, tied 2-2. Golden State goes into game 5 and does Golden State things, doesn't even feel that close, and Golden State wins and goes back to Golden State with the 3-2 lead. At this point, we think it's a wrap. We think the inexperienced Sacramento Kings, the much maligned Mike Brown, we think about Domantas Sabonis, who's disappeared on the offensive end despite all, and can't seem to secure a rebound despite leading the league in rebounds this year. Come into Golden State and put in a performance for the ages. Malik Monk balled off the bench. De'Aaron Fox did his thing despite having the injured thumb, and they force a game 7. And he forced the game 7 into Sacramento, and Golden State handled business. They won by like 20 or 30.
They just showed their championship pedigree. For a franchise that hasn't been in the playoffs in 16 years, they just didn't have the experience or the know-how. Even their best players, De'Aaron Fox, hadn't played in the playoffs. Domantas Sabonis, when he was in the playoffs with the Pacers, wasn't the Domantas Sabonis that we see now. They just need to grow. they'll come back and be better. But this wasn't the series. This wasn't the game 7 for them to win, in my opinion, honestly.
Their inexperience showed in game 7. That was the first time all series it showed, and it showed bad.
Yeah.
And Golden State undressed them, and it was pretty bad. So we'll move on. Golden State advances, wins the series 4-3. We'll move on to the 2 versus 7 matchup, which went 6 games. But Lakers fans have got to be kicking themselves that they did not win this in 4.
Yeah.
We already talked about the Grizzlies' injuries, and the Lakers still struggled. They lost a game to the Grizzlies without Ja Morant. They allowed Ja Morant to score 27 straight or some ridiculous number in a loss. I think it was over 22. 22 was the last message I sent. I think he hit like 25 or 27 before it. And the Lakers won that game. Then the Grizzlies won the next game, and Lakers closed out at home. In game 5, LeBron quit, didn't have it, said, "I'm going home. You guys can have this one." He played like shit all game long. There's been a lot of games where LeBron played very terribly, but the Lakers ended up winning 4-2. You got any thoughts on that one?
It went 6, but if you look at the game scores, they alternated between one blowout to another blowout. I think the proverbial switch that LeBron teams have is more of a myth than it is anything else. And I think Golden State is not a team that you should have a switch on-off button. You should be on full go at all times. This is going to be a tough matchup for the Lakers.
If LeBron phones in a game, these Lakers are going to have a hard time winning this series.
1,000%.
He had the ability to do it against the Grizzlies, and more power to him to do it. That's perfectly fine. You cannot do this against the Warriors.
The childness, the immaturity, the stupidity of the Grizzlies is not going to be present. There's not going to be a guy talking shit to LeBron. There's not going to be fucking dirty plays happening. This is going to be the Golden State Warriors who have won 4 championships with their core 3 still together. Core 3? Yeah, core 3, right? Yeah, their core 3 still together with their bomb-ass head coach. Kevon Looney is not a punk-ass B. He's going to be in there clanging and banging with them, getting boards. I actually think Golden State wins this in 6 or maybe in 5, but we'll see.
All right, so that already answers the next question. Who wins the 6 versus 7 matchup? We've yet to have a game played. They will start tomorrow. Eric has the Warriors, and I'm going to stick with the pick that I had. I think the Lakers win and move on to the conference finals. We'll go ahead and move into the 2 versus 7 matchup in the East. The Boston Celtics struggled with the Atlanta Hawks despite undressing them in 4 wins. And this just goes to what we talk about all the time. Boston, if they're on and hitting threes, unbeatable.
Yeah.
Boston, if you force them to win any other way, is the worst 2 seed, I don't know, maybe in NBA history.
I mean, the Utah Jazz existed at some point as a 2 seed somewhere.
Yeah, kidding. But that was which one? With Malone and Stockton or Donovan Mitchell? It just bothers me the inconsistency that comes out of the Boston Celtics game, literally from game 1 to game 2. And so that's purely coaching. And Ime Udoka's out, who took them to the Eastern Conference Finals, and Joe Mazzulla's in. And I'll tell you this, they wish they had the Utah Jazz's head coach, Will Hardy, who was on their bench backing up Ime Udoka last year.
Yeah. Because
Joe Mazzulla looks drastically outclassed. Quinn Snyder should not have been able to win 2 games versus Joe Mazzulla's squad. And he won a game where DeJounte Murray wasn't playing.
Look, this is the playoffs. You can't afford losses like that. You gotta bite down. You gotta cut the throat, like double tap, whatever it is. You gotta close teams out. They're in a whole world of trouble. We'll talk about it later, but they're in a whole world of trouble now, considering the events that happened. But they do have that same. I don't know if it's an on-off switch with the Celtics, but they don't show up sometimes, including Mamba Light, the Black Mamba Light. Like, he has games where he just doesn't show up.
I might have to take it back, bro.
Yeah.
This postseason, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you triggered my own comment, bro.
Yeah.
Like he shoots threes or he drives to the bucket. The mid-range that Jason Tatum showed us that he plays like Kobe, he's abandoned. If you watch Jason Tatum play in this postseason, and I know you've watched some, but maybe you haven't picked up on what I'm talking about. Watch him not take mid-range jumpers. He refuses to work to his spot to take his. Jason Tatum 6'7", 6'8".
Pick your spot. Pull up.
He could get a mid-range jumper all day long, and nobody can contest in any way, shape, or form that's going to make it difficult. But for some reason, he wants to drive to the basket, right, to get free throws, which is awesome, which is why his free throw rate has gone up this year. Or he wants to shoot the sexy three-pointer that Steph Curry's created. I will die on the hill that to win a championship, you need to be able to be efficient from mid-range. You need one guy that can get you an easy bucket from the mid-range because that's the hardest spot to defend. Jason Tatum's abandoned it. Yeah. So shout out to Celtics for handling business against the Hawks 4-2. We'll move into the Sixers-Nets series, which was the only sweep of the first round, but it cost them. The Brooklyn Nets coached this game all wrong. All I know is that I watched this series be coached, and Jacques Vaughn is not a good coach. I will die on that hill to the end of time. He could win an NBA Finals. I will die on that hill. But I'll turn it over to you so you can discuss.
Well, I mean, on the Jacques Vaughn thing, like just to hear him like endorse the dirty play, to hear him endorse like, look, there's a difference between being physical and then just trying to go hurt somebody. They knew they knew they had no fight in this game. They knew maybe they thought it would be a gentleman's sweep. It wasn't. We were too big. We were too fast. We were too strong. We shoot the best 3-point percentage all year. We're the best 3-point shooting team. We actually played defense, which I didn't realize. I think it's because of JoJo being anchoring it, but I didn't think we were as high as we were actually ranked, which I think was 6th defensively this year. But I mean, 1 and 2 seed should probably handle and sweep, gentlemen sweep. 3 seeds should have a little bit of a tougher time, but this was not the Brooklyn Nets that earned that 6th seed. This was the Brooklyn Nets that was broken apart and barely hung on to the playoffs. So should have been a sweep, was a sweep. Nothing else to say except for the fact that it cost us possibly the MVP from being at 100% for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah. Losing record post-trade deadline. Thanks for playing, Brooklyn Nets. Here's to a bright future. So Philadelphia is taking on the Boston Celtics. Game 1 happened today. Take us through it and then give us who wins the series.
So we're without Joel Embiid, and this is what I said earlier about Boston missed on an opportunity. So today was game 1. JoJo's out for game 1. Most likely going to be back for game 2. But if you close out and you handle business like you're supposed to, you get 2 to 3 games without Joel Embiid on the court, which is, look, I'm not saying they're scared of us. I'm not saying they should be scared of us, but I'm saying it's an advantage. You want any advantage you can to win, right? But they show up game 1 without JoJo. A tightly contested game. James Harden puts up 45 points. The Celtics did exactly what you said about relying on the 3-year driving. The mid-range kind of disappeared. And the Sixers got a win without Joel Embiid, which does not bode well for the Celtics. I still think this series goes 6. And I want to pick the Sixers in 6, and I want to say it, but
then just pick it.
There's that tiny voice in my head, but I'm going Sixers in 6, especially because the MVP's coming back.
Yeah, I'm sick of hearing about how the Celtics have the Sixers number, right? It doesn't make any sense how people can use the past series and the past series in which they unfolded. Circumstance dictates series. Ask the Los Angeles Clippers with Chris Paul, right? Yeah. Ask the Houston Rockets with James Harden versus Golden State. Yeah. Ask the Golden State Warriors versus the Toronto Raptors in the NBA Finals. Circumstances dictate output. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid didn't play for basically all of one series. Ben Simmons didn't play for all of one series. Joel Embiid got hurt in that series, finished it out, but he was playing by himself with no one else on the team. Right. Yeah. So you cannot use those as anecdotal evidence. Everyone loves to say Boston has their number. I was like, Boston hasn't played the Philadelphia 76ers. They haven't. They haven't played the Philadelphia 76ers. And here's the thing. They're down a game, and they still have not played the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah. I mean, Doc is doing a hell of a job with whatever he's doing, coaching these guys up without JoJo.
Yeah, and I'm sick of the Doc slander. I have defended this hill. He is a good team. He has the worst luck, including right now. He's coached Chris Paul in the postseason, and he's coaching Joel Embiid now in the postseason. He got the dub. This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm so sick of hearing about this Boston-Philly fucking mismatch when no one wants to talk about what happened in those games.
Yeah. I mean, we had a player forget how to play basketball.
It's unreal. That's why I say it every time. Every time it's brought up, anytime you bring it up as a talking point, it literally sets me off because it's like, are we not watching this series? The Grizzlies don't lose to the Warriors if Ja Morant doesn't get hurt, right? And that's without Steven Adams and Brandon Clark. If Ja Morant doesn't get hurt, the Grizzlies don't lose to the Lakers. Yeah. But if Brandon Clark and Steven Adams are healthy,
they win.
Injuries are a part of it.
We can't say they win, but it's a different game. It's a different series.
It's a different series, and they probably win because that's the team that got them the 2 seed. True. So I get it. Injuries are a part of the postseason, but stop fucking factoring in postseasons when you don't want to discuss what actually happened to get them in those situations.
Yeah.
I think the Sixers have a brilliant chance to make the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
Yeah.
But it all factors on one thing.
Joel Embiid.
Is Joel Embiid good after what the Brooklyn Nets did to him?
I hope so, man.
And we'll find out. We'll find out. So Eric has the Sixers advancing. I'll abstain. I had the Celtics pre-postseason, so obviously that's still my pick. But I don't think that it's as one-sided as people love to say it is. So let's move on to the 4-5 matchup. The Cavaliers lose to the Knicks 4-1. I'll sum this series up very, very quickly. There is one inefficient player who can get a bucket on the Cleveland Cavaliers and no other offensive threats.
None whatsoever.
Not a single one. Darius Garland, I don't know what happened to you. Maybe you acquiesced to Donovan Mitchell too much, but you're one of the smaller backcourt duos and one of the worst defensive backcourt duos. And inefficient scoring. Evan Mobley, Jared Allen disappeared, and the small forward position gave JB Bickerstaff almost no production. And to the point where JB Bickerstaff, I would be shocked if he's not fired. A shout out to New York. It was not good. We thought this was going to be one of the better series, and this one ended 4-1, and not even a particularly good 4-1. Julius Randle sprained his ankle like 4 games before the postseason started, and the Cleveland Cavaliers still dudded like this.
He was a shell of himself in this series. Not a shell. But he missed games, yeah. and he didn't. He's not the Julius Randle that we've all grown to love, and also people need to stop slandering him. You said it earlier a couple of days ago, but people were slandering him like he didn't have a broken fucking ankle 2 weeks ago.
But the dude was not. The dude was not playing, and he said, "I'm playing game 1." And has put up very good numbers on a sprained ankle, and then got hurt in game 5 and missed game 1 versus the Heat series. Guess who you fucking missed, Knicks fans? Leg Julius Randle. That's who you missed. Congratulations for all that shit talk. You deserve every bit of fucking dumb shit coming your way if you lose the series, you fucking assholes. But that's what it is. I'm out on Donovan Mitchell. I've been out on Donovan Mitchell. I've sat here and talked about Donovan Mitchell for 4 or 5 years with you specifically. And you're coming my way. You're slowly coming my way. Donovan Mitchell made all NBA this year, right? It's probably first team. And you still saw in the postseason.
When you see a player that's inefficient, you hope that they work on that. Right? You hope that you take your talent as a scorer and you learn how to do it efficiently. And then you become a great NBA player. What you don't do is just continue to do the same bullshit that got you the number 1 seed in Utah and eliminated from the playoffs in the second round every year. So, I mean, look, I'm at the age where I realize like these young kids get to this league and they don't do what it takes. Look at Giannis's development. Look at JoJo's development. I'm not talking about just their physical, like their skill set. Look how they change their bodies. Look how much work and dedication they put into being who they are, on top of perfecting their craft, on top of changing their diet and changing their workout routines. There's so much that goes into this. I heard JJ Redick talk about his offseason routine, and it's why he didn't come back to the league. I guarantee you Donovan Mitchell does not have that. Because if he did, he wouldn't be this inefficient at basketball. So that's where I leave it at that. Fucking inefficient basketball players.
Yeah, and in this day and age where people don't watch the games and then they look at the box scores and then they sit there and try to tell you about who's the best and who isn't the best, it's very, very comical when you ask them, all right, who made game-winning plays in that game, right? That's what you need to look at. You need to, in an era where increased pace of play, more possessions, right? The best players handle the rock even more than ever before. You need to look at who's making winning plays.
Yeah. And
that's why Jalen Brunson took the Knicks to the second round and Donovan Mitchell did not.
Facts.
And that's what it is. So we'll get into 1 versus 8 seed for the Milwaukee Bucks versus Miami Heat, which was probably the absolute biggest shocker. The NBA introduced a trophy. Eric, can you give me the name for this one? I think it might be the Maurice Pavlov trophy because he was the first commissioner of the NBA. But to the team who wins the most regular season wins gets this trophy. The Milwaukee Bucks were
the Maurice Podolov.
Yeah, he was the first commissioner of the NBA. So the Maurice Podolov trophy was awarded to the Milwaukee Bucks, who had the best overall record in the entire National Basketball Association, taking on the Miami Heat 7 seed, who lost a play in game 2, the Atlanta Hawks, who we just crushed. And somehow Miami Heat went from an offense who couldn't score points to one of the most efficient offenses. Actually, the most efficient offense and most productive offense in the postseason first round was the Miami Heat. That was literally night and day. The Miami Heat won the series 4-1. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the 2-time MVP, former MVP, went down 11 minutes into game 1. Just like Tyler Hero, so you can't use it as an excuse, right? Tyler Hero still scored 20 points for the Miami Heat, and there no one else for the Heat could score 20 points for them, and so both teams lost impact players, and the Heat won that game. Game 2, the Bucks responded with the talent that they have. Drew Holiday went fucking bananas. Brook Lopez did Brook Lopez things, and the rest of the supporting cast made plays. Tied 1-1. The Miami Heat went on to win game 3, went on to win game 4, and went on to close the Milwaukee Bucks out in game 5 in Milwaukee. Giannis was back for games 4 and game 5, and I believe he put up a triple-double in both. So
I think I'm looking at.
So there is no argument you can say that, Giannis was hurt. Yes, Giannis is hurt, but you know who's hurt right now? LeBron James is hurt. You know who's hurt right now? Steph Curry is hurt. You know who's hurt right now? Jimmy Butler's hurt right now. You know who's hurt right now? Julius Randle's hurt right now. You know who's hurt right now? Chris Paul's hurt right now. It's the NBA fucking playoffs. There's a reason why we opened discussing all the injuries that we've seen to all the players that we've seen in this postseason.
Giannis put up 38 and 20 in the elimination game.
And people are still like, well, Giannis was hurt. 38 and 20 doesn't scream hurt to me. Like, I know he might have been hurt, but that's still, he's the only player who played in games 4 and 5 for the Bucks. Everyone else fucking choked.
Yeah. Damn, 38 and 20, that's wild.
I'm calling it now. Mike Budenholzer is going to get fired. I'm willing to lock that in. Mike Budenholzer will get fired, and that there are going to be significant changes made to this team. This team is too old. It's too slow, and they're relying on too many non-young competitors to produce big-time minutes for them.
Yeah.
And so this Bucks team is in flux. Shout out the Miami Heat. Shout out Jimmy Butler for carrying the Miami Heat.
This was not a team effort. It was a solo effort.
Into the second round. Chicago, you should fucking miss me for saying that Jimmy Butler can never be the guy. Minnesota, you should miss me for picking Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns over Jimmy Butler. And Philadelphia, you picked Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
And Ben Simmons.
More importantly, yeah, you probably the obvious one is you picked Ben Simmons over Jimmy Butler. Those personalities couldn't coexist. He warned you. Philadelphia, Jimmy Butler warned you, and you did not listen.
I have nothing but the utmost respect and love for Jimmy. I wish the Sixers would have extended him. There's no I'm not mad that he's gone. It is what it is. He went to a fucking finals, and he's on his way to possibly making it to an Eastern Conference Finals this year. So shout out to him, dude. He's a fucking dog, and I love him.
Yeah, I was trying to find if I can't find the stat. So here's Jimmy Butler's stats: 42, 4 assists, 8 rebounds, 56 points, 2 assists, 9 rebounds. This is going closeout game to game 1. 30 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 25 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. That's the game they lost. So he didn't score over 30 in the game they lost. 35 points, 11 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. That was and he averaged 37.6 points, 6 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 60% from the field, and 44% from 3 against the Milwaukee Bucks. All right, so who do you have winning the Heat versus Knicks series?
The Heat.
You have the Heat winning it.
Yeah, it's no disrespect to the Knicks. I just think Jimmy, man, who's gonna stop that man right now? Who's gonna match that level of play? Who's got that dog in him?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's concerns he misses game too, though.
Oh well, fuck me, I didn't know that. But if Jimmy plays the entire series, he wins. He might drop a game or two, but if he plays the whole series, they win. If not,
obviously the Knicks win. Yeah,
honestly, I kind of want the Knicks to win because if we can get to the Celtics, we just bully up on the Knicks. But anyway, I digress.
So that's a great question. So you would rather face the Knicks versus the Heat?
Would I rather face Michael Jordan's son or a bunch of scrubs from New York? I'm taking the scrubs from New York.
All right, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. So Eric has the Nuggets beating the Suns. He has the Warriors beating the Lakers. He has the 76ers beating the Celtics. And he has the Heat beating the Knicks, although he wishes the Knicks would beat the Heat. That gives us our conference finals matchups of Philadelphia versus Miami, a 3 versus 8. And it gives us a Denver versus Golden State matchup, a 1 versus 6. Fun fact, for all the teams that have advanced from the second round, we have 1 seed, 1 2 seed, 1 3 seed, 1 4 seed, 1 5 seed, 1 6 seed, 1 7 seed, and 1 8 seed. First time in NBA history that a postseason has had one of every seed advance.
Phenomenal. I love it. I love it, dude. I'm here for the chaos.
Dude, trust me, I'm an agent of chaos. I love this. The Celtics Sixers series is just mouth-watering, right? Rivals, Heat, Knicks, rivals, Nuggets, Suns. I mean, Jokic versus Kevin Durant. I mean, there's nothing else you have to say there, right? Suns are just removed from a NBA Finals, and they have a 2-time MVP on the Nuggets. And then you have the Golden State Warriors versus the Los Angeles Lakers. You have the penultimate California team of the last decade, the ultimate California team of the last decade versus the penultimate California team of the last decade in the Los Angeles Lakers. You have Steph Curry versus LeBron James. You have
Steph Curry, aka the LeBron killer.
Yeah. Steph Curry's 15-7 in his career versus LeBron James in playoff matchups. Steph Curry is look, this series is going to be intense. Steph Curry is going for his 5th title. LeBron is going for his 5th title.
And
Anthony Davis. Yeah, if I was a Sixers fan, I'd be talking the same shit, bro. Anthony Davis is looking like a crazy defensive anchor. Draymond Green is a crazy defensive anchor, right? This series is going to be must-see television. Of the highest rated 27 games of the last decade plus, Steph Curry has been in every single one of them.
Unreal, dude. Unreal. That man is something else.
He is a ratings star, and you pair him in a series versus LeBron James, you're going to see some ratings numbers be shattered.
Yeah, it's going to be epic.
It's going to be epic, and I still think my favorite series is the Boston-Philly series.
There's just so much bad blood there. Like, it's going to get feisty. I mean, PJ Tucker might be suspended for game 2 for knocking Jason Tatum in the ding-dong. You know, it's already getting heated, and it's game 1. So it's going to be
Joel Embiid has not. Go ahead. I cut you off.
It's going to be a fun series for everybody else. I'm going to be stressing. I'm going to be a fucking nightmare to live with for the next few, week or two, Jermaine, but it's still going to be a fun series.
Yeah, I refuse to watch Sixers games with Eric at this point. Dude, all I'm saying is the Sixers are up 1 game and Joel Embiid has not stepped on the court. Oh, this series is about to fucking heat up. So, look, you pick your poison for these series. They're all fantastic. I love the Heat-Knicks matchup. I feel like a lot of the new age basketball fans don't really appreciate that matchup the way it is. But, I mean, we saw Carmelo play LeBron before in the postseason. So this is definitely going to be a very fantastic series. And what's crazy is, back-to-back and defending MVP Nikola Jokic and 1 seed Denver Nuggets taking on the newly acquired Kevin Durant in Phoenix is probably the worst of the 4 series. And we already see Denver up 2-0, which is insane.
I love it. I'm here for it.
All right. Who's winning it all, Eric?
Philadelphia.
I expect nothing less. That's the appropriate answer every time. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Podcast Room 303. I'm your host, Jermaine Colo Mendez. This is my co-host. And as always, we have with us the EPE. We'll see you next time when you come on down and step into the room.